I did see, I have to be honest. So, till I saw your first two lectures,
Yes.
I got the hang of it. And then I started trading based on your kind of drawing the graph,
Yep.
explaining, and then it all started making sense. So immediately I changed my strategies and I started looking at Zoom, Lyft, many more. The
Yes.
things you discussed, put it
Yes.
that way. The items, the instruments you discussed. So I started researching, and then I started, trading on them. And today was really good because I traded on BNYD, and I made some good money, and I'm really really happy.
Which one did you do?
What is? Okay, one second. I'll tell you exactly which one I did.
And what symbol? You said BM. I didn't catch the whole.
BYND.
Oh, Beyond. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Got it.
Beyond Meat.
Yes. And you shorted it, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah, it had
but
a nice little pop earlier in the morning. I shorted Zoom into the higher opening, and I shorted Tesla. I'll show you that in a moment.
yeah. Um, so thank you for being open, transparent, honesty. Um, I quite like your approach. I have met maybe one or two traders, but I really didn't get the hang of it. Like their strategies. Some of them they say don't put stop loss, but it didn't make sense to me. So I'm really happy for your time, and I I see you as a teacher, as a mentor, as a passionate person who really wants to give it to people who are interested to learn from you. So I can see that.
Well, I really appreciate that. I do. I mean, I passed the point where I need, to do things for money. And it's so great to meet somebody new like yourself from somewhere across the world. And, I never realized when I started this business that, I never knew what I was getting into, but as it turns out, I've kind of like inherited a second family. I've got
Mhm.
people, some of my forums that, I've known for 4 or 5 years. People flew from around the world to one of our retreats to meet me. And it's like one of the most gratifying experiences I've ever had. So, I sit in front of this thing and I have for 40 years, making money, losing money, screaming at the screen, and, you're on
Mhm.
your own, but it's really great to have the feedback and the relationships and the communication. So, I get a gas out of it. People say, well, if you're making all this money, why would you do it? And then they're really missing the point. I mean, giving back is really, it's really you know, to give is better than to receive. It really, you heard that when you were a kid, and it is really true. It's very gratifying for me to hear somebody like you say, hey, you helped me, and so that to me is fantastic. So,
Thank
uh,
you.
no, but thank you. So I'll just kind of go through a little bit about what I did today, and then I'll give each of you kind of a chance to talk and share like Mahantesh and ask questions and what have you. So Mahantesh, it was great to meet you, and hopefully we'll see you down the line somewhere.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm looking forward to working with you and treat you as my mentor or guru.
Well, let's take one step at a time.
Yeah.
But thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, I kind of, like I said, I try and be transparent, and the thing is, we simulcast on YouTube. And while I'm doing these things, people say, well, this is not live. This is not real. This is a scam. Meantime, I've been doing these trades in front of you in real time every day. So, I've been showing you my trades starting, on Monday. I was, had a full boat. I had, really had my focus, all last week was in QuantumScape. I had 30,000 shares short in this account and 30,000 in another. And then I also had 500 put options. So it was a heavy, heavy bet on QuantumScape. I started shorting the stock when it was, 29.75. You can see yesterday it went to about 22.50. And I'm, 11, 12 straight down days. And I've been hanging with this thing. Then I kind of had a throwaway trade in this Beyond Meat. you can see it was only up like $1,250 on Monday. And I bought them at like 60 cents. And I kind of, didn't give it much of a thought, it's like kind of a throwaway thing where when I, bought these put options, a put option is a bet on the downside. When I bought these things, the stock was trading at 140. So I was like $10 out of the money. And then yesterday and today, Beyond Meat went to 127. It was down $13 from where I bought these things. So these things went from the 60 cents I bought them to about $3.50. So I made about 700% in these put options. So this 1,000 gain went to about 55,000. And I had the same thing in another account. So I made like 110 grand. And what I thought was just, I'll just try it. I'll see if it works out type of thing. I thought, these options would get a scare. I thought that the stock would come down, but I didn't know it would crash the way it did as quickly as it did. So that was, great. And, I threw away 30 grand on these Uber calls. I bought this 2 weeks ago. They never performed. I got obstinate. I stayed in them, and now they're going to expire worthless. So that's the risk you take when you buy these options. They go down 50%, 100%. You have to be willing to risk every cent. But hopefully, people say, well, you never show your losses. So here's, big losses. I actually turned this around, turned it into a win. And then I was been long Moderna from like 216. Today, that stock made a new high at 260. Been short Peloton, on and on. So that was on Monday. Tuesday, same thing, when, started making more money in QuantumScape and Zoom, etc. Then yesterday, I had cumulatively $650,000 in open profits. And this didn't include all the trades in Moderna and Zoom and all the things that I've closed out on the way. And so I just closed out everything. You can see cumulatively, I had about 660,000 in open profits. And a lot of these option positions are expiring tomorrow. So, today QuantumScape went up. If I didn't get out yesterday, I would have lost everything. Same with Beyond Meat, because Beyond Meat went up about $6 today before it came back down. So it was a good thing I cleared out. And then today, my big bet was in Tesla. I started shorting Tesla it opened around 656, up about $3. Then I shorted at 658, shorted some at 662, some at 663, and the high was 666. And then it crashed $30. So you can see when I got out, it was trading $30 lower than or $25 lower. Made about 88 grand. And what I thought was going to be a nothing day after I closed everything out. And then I was also messing around in AMC. I shorted some there. And then I also went short the triple Qs, which are the NASDAQ, and made some money there. So what I thought was going to be kind of a nothing day. And then I also traded Zoom. I sold Zoom at 365 and got out at 359, made about $7.50, like 30 grand on that. So it's been an amazing run. So I did these trades in front of, hundreds of people in what we call the boiler room. We just started this new program about 3 weeks ago where I actually execute these trades, in the pre-market session or just as the market opens. I use the certain ranges. I talked about Tesla yesterday, and I saw that Tesla was turning lower, and I used a higher opening to sell into. So we just started this boiler room, and already, 5 people have, signed up for the 1-year program. So we didn't know how this was going to work. And we had, I don't know how many people, we've had 30, 40 people in the boiler room, and already, I think 4 people signed up to the year program. So these guys signed up this morning for the 1-year boiler room program because of all the money they've been making with me trading in the morning and getting in these stocks early and what have you, and understand how to take advantage of this price structure. So my partner, Peter, he's been trading with me. So, he's been, kind of had a little S&P account, where he puts everything in an index. And I said, that's fine, but you're young, you can take some risk. And so Peter opened up this account. Where's his screenshot? And these are the positions that, he was open with. And he started with about, 80,000 pounds, and now his account's like over 100,000 pounds, and we just started 3 weeks ago. So I got him in AVAV, Moderna long, Peloton short, Beyond Meat short, Zoom short, Tesla Motors short. And this doesn't reflect what happened today because this was from earlier today. Peter's on Bangkok time, so he's only waking up now, so it doesn't reflect what happened in Tesla. So I imagine he made a whole lot more. And then Moderna went crazy today. Moderna, so right here it says it's 253. It actually went to about 260. So his account's going to be a lot more when he wakes up today. He sent me some of the screenshots from his account. So this was, I guess, in, what was this? Moderna. So I bought Moderna at 216. I told everyone in that boiler room to buy it at 216. And you can see that here it's at 250, but it's actually at 260. And we bought some more at 235. So you can see he had two buys right there in Moderna, and 216, 235. And right now it's trading at 260. So that was just this week. And then what else did he do? I told him to short AVAV on an earnings. So AVAV, so sometimes, as I said, I look at, companies that are going to announce earnings. I don't know, obviously, what the earnings are going to be, but I just look at the chart positions. You can see that Peter got in right here before they announced the earnings. And the next day after the earnings were announced, this thing just dropped out of the sky, and it's been making new lows ever since, and he's still in there. This aviation stock, AVAV. Then Peloton, I've been extremely bearish on because of the price action. So where did he get in here? Usually I can see the circles. I can't understand. Oh, right here. So he shorted Peloton here and here at 118 and a little bit under 120. And now it's about 110. And then Peter's been doing well. Beyond Meat, the one that Mohantesh just told you guys about. I'm really high on shorting this stock. I made $110,000 on the put options this week, and I'm looking to reload for next week. So Peter shorted right there, and then right there at 138. And right now it shows it's at 131, but I think it's lower. It's trading about 129 now. So these are what would be, the trades we're executing in this boiler room. If you want to join the boiler room, Dwight will give you a link after the session. So again, today I shorted, my big position was Tesla. I was messing around on AMC, and actually this thing turned around and went higher. So I was good. I closed this profit out, and then it went higher. As did Tesla. I held on to half these. So I bolted out of, I actually had 6,000 shares by the end of it. I got out of half. I've still got 3,000 shares short going in tomorrow to Tesla. So again, for me, and also I didn't talk about my FX trades. So these are today's FX positions. I've been very high on Pound New Zealand. Yesterday, Pound New Zealand looked terrible. I said, you just got to close your eyes, and somehow this thing will find its way back. And it kind of put itself back together. I'm also short Euro Yen, Pound Yen, and I'm long Pound versus Australian dollar. So I'm up about 91 grand collectively on these positions, and I've been sitting in a lot of them for a long time. I imagine I will. So I'll look at Pound New Zealand in a minute. Let me just look at Tesla. I think we spoke about Tesla yesterday. I kind of gave you some heads up that I was looking at this thing coming off. So I like to toggle between the different time frames. People said, what time frame do you use? So I kind of go back and forth just to get a picture of what I'm looking at. The whole idea is to kind of understand the cards that you're holding. So if you're looking at a 15-minute chart, there's no way you can, get a handle on the picture that I'm looking at here, which is a weekly chart. So this starts telling me all kinds of stuff, that Tesla looks like it's in this long-term symmetrical triangle. So it's amazing how these prices form over a lengthy period of time, and an architect couldn't draw this more perfectly. A perfectly formed symmetrical triangle. Now, these are neutral patterns, these symmetrical triangles. It could, go that way, or it could go that way. I think it's going to go that way. So you can see that we bumped up to the high part of the symmetrical triangle this week. And we haven't finished the week, but right now you're on the low of the week. So while, earlier in the week it made new highs, right now the sellers are in control. So I kind of look at how these bars close. That's why I look at bar charts and not candles. To me, I can see these reversals very clearly. Made a new high, close on the low, and a huge reversal there. And that guy's pointing, where this thing wants to go. So, to me, it makes me, these bars just stand out very clearly to me. I know I'm a dinosaur, a fossil, but, I'm used to trading this way and I see things very clearly. So if I can see a new high, close on the low, then if I'm looking to trade next week, I would simply put a sell stop under here and let the market put me in. And I am already short Tesla, as you saw, based on the daily price action. So, Tesla, to my mind, is coiling. It's in the business end, the more mature end of this triangle. So, once it starts doing its work here, whichever way it goes, it's going to give you a very fertile opportunity one way or another. And so I look at these bigger charts because I'm looking to take a piece out of the middle of these bigger moves, right? So I'm not looking for a $3 move or $2 move on something that's going to move a couple $100. So, so that's why I look at these longer term charts. First off, it gives me a handle. I can understand the cards that I'm holding. If you're trading on a 15-minute chart, prices can go anywhere in the next 15 minutes. It's a straight gamble. So I use the structure of the bigger time frames to understand where this. So I want to understand what the next trajectory is, what the next big move is, not what it's going to do, in the next half hour, but what it's going to do, in the next, what is its next $100 move or $200 move? And so I just use the structure of the market. So we can see a number of, you can see this triangle on the daily also. You could draw kind of a symmetrical triangle that way. I also see that connecting all these lows, it's forming this descending wedge triangle. So, the dollar versus the yen is in something like this, where this is what you expect to see out of a descending wedge. And I don't think that's going to be an exaggeration. That's maybe just what it looks like when it's all said and done. So once I kind of understand what the game is, what the gig is, once I can start seeing, a pattern of lower highs, then I can start, anticipating, getting ahead of the game, not guessing. So to me, I said yesterday, I think this double top right at this, key resistance level, it's going to be, a very key rejection area. So, if I'm looking to go short, what I do is I use the market price action. So you can see this is where the market closed yesterday. And then you can see by this left slash market, it was opening higher. So I said to the guys on the boiler room, look, I'm just looking to sell into a higher opening because, this thing is going lower by virtue of all of the previous things. So I shorted at 656. I got some at 658. I shorted some at 662, and I maybe even shorted some at 664. I mean, as it went higher, it makes no sense, I guess, if you think about it that way. But to me, if I can sell into strength and buy into weakness, that's how I make a ton of money. So I just kind of use this, what I call the elastic band. So to me, I think of the markets as energy. So I like the market to build energy, in the direction, I'm looking at. So if you're, trading a market and it looks like this, even though it may look tantalizing, to get short here after all the energy has been distributed, makes no sense. So what you want to do is you actually counterintuitively want some release valve. You want to build up energy so that it can uncork in this direction again. So I think of markets as building and, dissolving energy. So, it kind of gets going this way and, then it gets pretty long in the tooth, right? You don't want to sell it down here. You want to get some energy so that it can go again. And so, this is kind of, one of the philosophies. So, I just felt like this was building energy to go that way. And that's exactly what it did. I shorted it on the high of the day and then it collapsed $30. I got out of some and I'm still in half my position. And I still think that we've got some left on the table. I feel like if we come back here 610 or so, then this is going to look like a, very big kind of double top within a descending thing. Then the next, trajectory is back to the lows at 540. And if we go through this thing, we're going a lot lower. So I don't know why. I don't look at the balance sheet. I don't look at Elon Musk tweets. I only look at price action. So you can see I have literally made in the last 3 weeks 7 figures in front of 50 or 100 people. So it's not like, I'm just saying this. And these are not demo accounts, I promise you. So that's what I did in Tesla. Yesterday, I sold into Run. One of the stocks that I was really high on this week is Zoom. I shorted Zoom again today into a higher opening. I waited. It opened higher, went lower, and then it rallied to about 369. I sold into that and just got out because my Tesla is just soaking up so much of my equity. I just got out to, but I'll come back. So to me, I've been pointing out Zoom. I think there's 5 different bear price patterns. I think every day I've been talking about selling Zoom short. Is there anybody on this webinar that has sold Zoom and is holding a short positions in Zoom? So Henry says me. Says yes. Omer says yes. Jorgen says yes. So good on you. Orestes says yes. Rico says yes based on my email. So I sent out, to get short the Zoom, on my this is my open positions right now for those on my elite list. So I on July 13, I recommended to go short Zoom at 378, and we're at 356, so $21 lower. And this thing looks like it's going back to 290. So I pointed out yesterday that there was all kinds of bear price actions. You had the double top here, even though it's not in the same thing. Then you had the price reversals, where what I call these key reversals, made a new high, close on the low, made a new high, close on the low. And those guys are pointing where the market wants to go. So to my mind, you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to scour the Financial Times. You don't have to listen to these analysts. The market actually points where it wants to go in the form of these patterns and price action. So you had the double top there. You also had this head and shoulders here. And it cracked the neckline of both of those. And then you had these ascending broadening, both short-term and long-term ascending broadening trying. So just everything comes together. When I saw this, I saw 5 bear patterns on the triple Qs in February. I loaded up on the put options and made $1 million in 2 days based on this kind of thing where you see 5 bear price patterns all coming in at one time. So you have the short-term ascending broadening and the long-term ascending broadening, which is basically a pattern that goes up through the entirety of the pattern. It starts out life narrow, broadens out at the top. And when it cracks here, it's like there's no mystery now. I know exactly where this thing's going, right back to the beginning of the triangle. So, where's your take profit? There. So, I just don't know if we're going to have one more shot where we reattempt. The breakout area kind of doesn't look like it. Sometimes you break out and then you, reattempt the breakout area, or you retest it rather. So it's entirely possible that, next week or what have you, that, maybe we get a retest and it goes back here and retests it. Although the way this is looking, not quite sure. But again, this is starting to get a little long. We've had, from 400 to 350, we've been, going straight down. So this may need a little relief. It may come down, go back up, but this thing is going lower. So if it goes higher, you can actually short more. So I use these. So when it went up today, I just shorted into it. So once you kind of understand where something's going, and so this is the difference between understanding where something's going on the bigger time frames versus like a 5-minute chart where it can look like something and then 5 minutes later it's all up in your face. But I have absolute confidence in shorting into something like this because I feel like I understand, what's going to happen. And, if it starts doing something that, now it starts breaking cadence and starts breaking back into here, now, something's wrong and the pattern's been busted. A busted pattern means just the implications of that pattern is no longer, in force and effect. But this thing, has got all these bear patterns, and I just feel we are coming here and much lower on ZM. So I'll finish up with pound New Zealand. I've been talking a lot about this pair. It looked terrible yesterday, and all of a sudden it's back. Just like Humpty Dumpty, it manages to fall off the wall and put itself back together again. This thing's going higher. This pattern all the way back here, even though it looks very murky, just makes me stay the course. I've been long this pound New Zealand since, May, 2 months already. And, I'll probably be in this thing for, 8 months or a year. I stayed in this pair once for 13 months. So you can see what looked like a reversal yesterday that was, we were closing on the low of the weekly bar. That's why I wait for the close. So this thing won't close until the end of the session tomorrow. And it's going to look entirely different than what it did yesterday. So to me, this guy here, this key reversal is really kind of the driver. So I just look at markets in terms of patterns and trends. And this one's a little bit, it's not a little, it's very difficult. This one's been it's a real carnival ride. And so, but you just have to wait for your opportunities, let the market show its hand, and then, I feel like I can understand it. So this to me looks like a double bottom or, an inverted head and shoulders, which is just an upside down head and shoulders. And you can see we're trading right at the neckline. So once it breaks or confirms above the neckline, then we know that it's, good to go. And I thought it had confirmed a couple times. So this thing always kind of gives you a couple of looks, but once this thing gets going, it's going to be gone. Once it clears this 2000, there's just a lot of room. And I don't think that's going to be an exaggeration. I don't know why I feel that's going to be like that, but I do. So I just think that this is just a huge governing price pattern. It's going to govern or dictate, how this is going to go forward. So to me, it's all about understanding, which side you need to be faced, using the price action to understand where your risk is. So when I see a key reversal like this, to me, it just tells me this is where my risk is. So if I get long here, that's my risk and that's my reward. And if I can, see an outcome where my outcome is 3 times larger, in this case, it'll be 20 times as big, then I'll take that trade. And then short these euro trades, these euro yen trades. So I shorted the euro yen a couple days ago, and it looks like it's crashing. So you can see this is the weekly. We talked about this yesterday. And this is the daily. And so I'm short pound yen and euro yen. And you can see that this is trading on new, multi-week lows here. So Ron says, I made another $1,000. Thanks, Mark. You're welcome. Daniel says, I used your tactic on pound New Zealand today. Took a buy stop with a big order and huge success. So good on you, Daniel. Jamie says, anyone know if the Dow Jones is going lower? Dow Jones, I think the markets have topped, but that doesn't mean they're a huge sell. Actually, the Dow Jones closed very constructive today and indicates that tomorrow it might go higher. So there's, they're switching off every day. Dow goes up and NASDAQ goes down, or NASDAQ. So you can see Dow has got this key reversal higher, right into these highs. So this is, still indicating that it wants to go higher. It's, up against all this resistance. So it's a very tricky area. But I feel like the S&P is getting very, very close to its high. Where's the S&P here? I think we may have made the high for the year on the S&P. Although, we're hanging in here. So the indexes have been tricky. I made some money just shorting NASDAQ today just for the fun of it. But this is really a stock picker's market where some stocks are going up, some are going down. And so I'm really focusing on individual stocks rather than the indexes. So the NASDAQ has been a complete misdirect because the NASDAQ's sitting on an all-time high, it's sitting all-time high here. And yet, Tesla's 40% off its highs. Beyond Meat's, 50% off its highs. Peloton's 40% off its highs. QuantumScape's 70% off its highs, or 90%. So the indexes are the indexes are comprised of 5 stocks that are driving things higher. So you have to look under the hood, and I just trade individual stocks. Let's see. Is that Jim wants to know in Australia and US? So right now the dollar looks stronger. So where's Australian? For right now, the dollar looks stronger, but eventually I expect the dollar to get killed. But right now it does look stronger. So you've kind of got this double top, head and shoulders. You're sitting on a low. So, it could still go lower for a little while, but I think ultimately the dollar gets destroyed. So when I look at Australian dollar, it's a little bit tricky. There's 2 patterns that are kind of fighting with each other. And this is where it kind of gets murky. I have not really been trading the dollar too much. Just been having too much fun in these stocks. So to me, this looks like an inverted head and shoulders, but you can see that, now it's formed this double top. So, this is where, I get into a bit of a conflict, and I say to myself, okay, which one is governing the next major direction? And I kind of still feel that this upside down head and shoulders, is a bull price pattern. And really what we've done is we've just kind of come back to this breakout area. So we may just kind of come under here for a little bit, but I think these lows at 70 will hold. And then ultimately I expect, perhaps this thing to start turning around. But right now, the short-term momentum, the dollar is going stronger. But I don't know if I would really buy into that. I don't know how much is left on the table. Mustafa said, just to notice in NASDAQ, when you show the pattern, isn't there a double top and therefore a downturn in the cards? So I do think the S&P and the NASDAQ are getting very close, Mustafa, to a top. That's why I kind of bought some puts today. So the other quirk is we've been up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row. This has only happened 14 times since 1985. So now the probability of having a 9th week in a row higher, and it's kind of stupid. It's like saying, hey, if I flip a coin that comes up tails 99 times, then it's likely to come up, tails the next time. No, that's not it. But, I kind of figured that this thing needed a rest. And I bought some QQQ puts, and I made, some nice money this today, and I took half off. So whatever happens tomorrow, I took my money, my invested money out of it. We'll see what happens. But, it's not really a double top yet. I mean, you can see that, yes, you've got these 2 little resistance areas here, but it's not a huge pattern to send this thing a lot lower. So even though, like I said, I suspect we've made the highs, I don't know that I'm seeing a huge sell-off yet. So, I mean, we could pull back to this area here, 14.6, another 200 points, and it would still be within the cadence. So, this could come off, and then I would like to see something like that, and then a bigger pattern. Then that you can get set for a bigger move. But right now, look, I shorted it today. I think you saw the highs. I think you might be looking at the highs for the year right now. I kind of get that feeling you are. So yes, it is a short, but it's not easy. These indexes are, you can see they're just chucking and jiving at the top here. You can see there's just going to be a lot of noise, and this could just go sideways. So this may be a top, but it could also just go sideways. So you can see today we actually close a little bit constructively, but I do feel like the top has been put in. So, we'll see. Right now, every time you've kind of had these key reversals, you've gone and made a new high. And today we had a miniature key reversal. It may be a bit of a misdirect. So you can see that going back all the way, every time, made a new low, closing the high, made a new low, closing the high, made a new low, so every time it does this, it goes and makes a new high. So the epitaph on these indexes, like the thing is, they are masking all the destruction underneath. It's been a very efficient market because people expect it to sell off, and the non-productive or the companies that aren't going to go higher are getting destroyed, like Zoom and Peloton and QuantumScape. There's destruction under the hood while, the other companies that are solid march on. Google, Facebook, Amazon, these are real companies with real earnings at, decent multiples. And so it doesn't mean that the indexes will come off. So that's why I look at each market unto itself. I haven't really been playing the indexes. I just did a little cute carve out play. But I don't feel that these things are fertile just yet. Although I get the feeling that this could be the high for the year. But we could just bang around here for, 6 months. So just because it's made a top doesn't mean that, we're ready to come down here. So I've not really been playing the indexes too much. I've been playing Peloton and Zoom and Beyond Meat and Tesla and the individual names. So I didn't know my picture was still there. Can I move my chart? I don't know where my picture is. Because to me, my picture is all the way on my other screen. Is my picture in the middle of the chart? Do I need to move it?
Hey, Mark, I think it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, to me, it's on my second monitor here. So I'm seeing my chart clean, but I don't know what you're seeing. So everyone's saying, no,
Yeah,
it's
I'm seeing
fine.
that chart. The SP 500.
This is the S&P 500. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Yep, I'm seeing it.
So this is still, path of least resistance is higher. It could just turn around here. So let's see. So that's really it. Dwight, if you want to let a couple people in to speak, if somebody wants to raise their hand and actually introduce themselves and speak, and
Yep. Yeah. Waiting on people or some people are raising their hands. I will have Pete. I'm gonna allow you to talk. Pete, if you can unmute, you can go ahead and comment. Oh, Pete said that was an error. Okay. All right, Edith, I'm gonna allow you to talk.
I guess this isn't it's not working out so well. So in the meantime, let me just see. People are asking me to check all kinds of stocks and what have you and charts. Richard wants to know about Upstart, UPST. I'll go very quickly through these. Upstart looks like we finished with a kind of key reversal here and another one here. So it's kind of an interesting juncture with Upstart. We were talking about this in the boiler room this morning, and whoops, I just went dark here, Dwight.
I'm still seeing your screen.
Really? I went entirely dark on my screen.
Maybe your monitor got plugged out or something. So you're not seeing your monitor?
No, it went complete. And it just says entering power save mode. So I've never seen this happen. So I'm not quite sure.
All right.
I
just plug out the connection to your computer and replug it. but we are
Um,
still seeing that upstart chart.
wow, I'm completely dark here, so maybe something in the back here. My monitors are just in a really bad place here. Something may have just become loose here. Sorry, just give me a minute. Oh, there it is. Not sure what happened. So maybe it's just a loose connection in the back. I'll have to. So this is Upstart.
Sorry,
And we were
Mark.
talking about.
Mahantesh wanted to comment.
Okay.
So, Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
What would you recommend going forward? Because I quite enjoyed your 4 days of taking us through your, this educational event and live shows and all of that.
So I would just, we will give you a link at the end, Mahantish, to join the boiler room. These are the morning sessions. They take place 9 a.m. Eastern time. So what I do is I look at the market before the market even opens. Yesterday I did a stock, I shorted RUN in the pre-market session at 54.14. It never actually even showed that in the regular session. I got it on the absolute high of the day. So we analyze the stocks before the stock market opens. I show why I'm looking at something, why I'm like today I was looking to, sell Tesla, and then I do my trades in front of everybody. And then if they want, they do those trades and, what have you. So that's probably the best thing to do. And it's, would be good your time. I don't know if you have a job or what have you. So 9 a.m. my time is probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon, your time or something.
Correct.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, otherwise we have, other things. Mohantesh, we have an elite program. This is where you get my emails every single day. This is what kind of the elite program looks like. I'll just find one of my emails, give you an example. So, but, probably the best thing is just check out the boiler room. I trade live and we look at markets. So this is what my emails look like every day. This was sent out yesterday. I said there's a lot of churn within the NASDAQ. The Fed will likely start monetary tightening measures in the near future. This will negatively impact tech companies with earnings in the distant future, such as Zoom, Peloton, QuantumScape, and beyond. All of these things are getting hammered. Stay short these stocks, which I've been advising our members to get short before. So this was a sell stop in pound yen, which was triggered. And I think pound yen's 50 pips lower now or something since it was triggered. So I show you what I'm looking at on the chart. I kind of give you the trade if you want to enter there with the sell stop, the stop loss, and then, depending on how it goes, we move it. So, and then I explain, what I'm looking at, double top bear price pattern, key reversal bars. I said I'm currently short euro yen, so these trades are not diversified. And then these were the trades. So I just tell you how of the trades that were triggered in the past, how to manage them, where to put your stop loss, take profit. And so that's part of our daily elite. So it's up to you to decide, what you want from us. And but we'll give you a link after this, Mahantesh, on joining the boiler room. So kind of getting back to this analysis on Upstart, this is intriguing me. I took a couple bites at this last week. I bought it in several areas, and then it kept coming back on me, and I was making a lot of money, and I just thought it would keep going, and I didn't take it, and so I just scratched a whole bunch of trades. But this chart is a difficult chart because at the top here was this driving double top. You can see how this thing at this area not only made a top in this two areas, but it was the price action. So it's really the combination, the area where it resists and what it does when it resists. So it made a new high, close on the low, made a new high, close on the low. So those two bars just told you that this thing was going to go lower, and it did. Now the question is, where does it go from here? And it's really tricky because I would say, well, you open up a chart and, by virtue of the patterns and the direction, you should, but this thing is obviously very quirky, and where it goes, I'm actually going to be intrigued. But so you see this little double bottom here. This thing is basically in a kind of a stealth still uptrend. It's kind of hugging to this trend line here, got a little bit below, but this could be a bear trap where it sneaks below that trend line. And if it kind of comes back, then those guys are trapped. So the other structure that so what I try and do is I put a boundary around prices so that I can understand them. And so that's kind of a reverse triangle, which doesn't really mean anything. It can, basically be a bottom where this thing goes higher, or it can, go the other way. And so now I can start understanding. So it's really a tug of war. You have a whole bunch of reversals up here, and then you have a whole bunch of key reversals down here. So I don't know. Look, I think you could buy something like this. You could put a buy stop above here and, put your stop loss under there, and that's your risk. Or just, wait, maybe wait till the weekly closes. So tomorrow the week will be over and we'll see. So this thing is still, I don't know. There's obviously going to be some money to be made here. So when I see all of these reversals, made a new low, close on the high, and even though these are a little red, they're close closer to the high than the low. Then you have this key reversal here, and then you have this reversal there. So those reversals kind of point in the direction that this market wants to go. And this one's a little bit more, nebulous than, say, Zoom, where I think I see it very clearly. But, so what? You set up a risk reward trade where you put your buy stop here, let the market confirm if it's going to go up. If tomorrow it opens and it goes straight down, then, no harm, no foul, you weren't put in. And if you're triggered, then you can put your stop loss, somewhere on the other side of this or at the low or something. And so this is your risk. And if it takes off, it'll look like that. So let me just look at the weekly on this. So this is kind of what I do around all of these trades. I kind of put a boundary, a structure, see if I can understand it. So on the weekly, you see it looks much more bearish now. It looks very, very different. And that's why these different time frames give me, kind of a different view. Where, on the weekly time frame, you had a bit of a key reversal today, which was a bit of a head fake. But, on the bigger time frame, this is, made a new high this week and you're closing on the low. And you did so here and you did so here. So there's all kinds of resistance up here, suggesting that the next move is that way. So into next week, I would just kind of use any kind of up move to maybe. So this one is very tricky. I would just watch this and leave this one alone. But on balance, I'd say that this is kind of building a resistance and it feels like it wants to come off. So on balance, I'm very biased toward the short side of most of these stocks. And you can see that this one's kind of got a bit of an upline that now has been violated. So you've now, kind of broken this uptrend. And so it kind of feels like perhaps the next move is lower. So, with all those reversals here, I would just kind of let it shake out and, keep it on your radar. To me, there's, better risk reward plays. I mean, I love Beyond Meat short. Where's this thing? I think this thing's just going to get kicked in and cratered. So, I think I put this up for you, yesterday. I just see this thing is an enormous double top. And this was kind of a knee-jerk thing. And now we're coming back down. And so this is really the area. If this ever kind of comes back to 113, it's over. I think it's over anyway. So, I mean, the way this is hurtling down here, it just feels like this thing wants to be a $50 stock again. And I think it will be. So yeah, this, so when I look at something like this, it's got more history. So Upstart is a recent IPO, so it doesn't have, as much history. The history is very quirky. But so what I like to do is find things that are mature, that I understand, where I can see the risk. So now this is one of those things where the risk has been somewhat diluted, where it's dropped from 160 to 130. But this isn't a thing where it could keep going and then kind of do some kind of counter thing to break the wrist and then go like that. So I would look for any up move next week. I hope it doesn't come off too much tomorrow. I want to kind of buy the puts for next week. So any kind of move higher. We went to 134 today. I'd love to see this back at 135 again. I don't know if it's going to give me another chance, and then I expect something like that. So Bruck says, look at Myrna after the market. You are rich now. So yeah, I've been, very high on Moderna. I was buying it at 216, right at the low of the day. So where's Moderna? Wow, Moderna's up $20 after the close. So this is how, I see different opportunities in the market. To either buy or sell. If these things go to huge moves in the aftermarket sessions and in the pre-market. Yesterday in the pre-market, I shorted run at 54.14. The high was 53.67 or something like that, and today it's $8 lower. So yeah, I've done quite well. And those who followed me have done very well too. So this was Peter's. So Peter is a proxy. He's been taking my trades, with everybody in the boiler room. So I bought it Moderna at 216, at 235, and now it's 280. So in the same week that I bought it at 16, it's $65 higher. So some incredible moves going on in the markets. I try and just figure out where these things are going and hop aboard these big moves. So Dakin says, you mentioned the other Zoom meeting that trends usually continue. I think you said either 10 to 20 days. So it's, scientific studies will show you that, after a pattern has emerged, that markets will go in the direction of that pattern for at least 100 days. So when you look at pound New Zealand, and it puts this double bottom on, it says that prices will increase for at least 100 days thereafter. And that's basically what's happened since December, or 6 months later, 180 days, it's gone from 186 to 198. So off this double bottom for 100 days, we've gone higher. And that's what, we've looked at studies, of these patterns. And after they form, they go 100 days. So why would you get out 100 minutes after a major pattern has been formed? My philosophy is once I see a bottom, I want to just sit in this thing, let it do its magic, and come back to it 6 months later and wake up with a fat check in your bank account. What else is going on? Upstart is slightly lower in the aftermarket. Beyond Meat, slightly lower. So that's about it. And Tesla is about unchanged. Yelena wants to look at Alibaba. A lot of stuff been going on with the Chinese company because of the interference from those governments. And the question is, is that have they bottomed? Maybe. I mean, you've had this interesting, you grabbed a foothold here. And Yelena, I would kind of keep an eye on this little trend line here. I was saying, I think to this group or somebody, I remember when I was examining this, that on the balance, it looks like, you can see this double top here, but I don't know. This is still somewhat in an uptrend. So what I would keep on look out for is you're hitting this, so if, you start breaking above this trend line, it could open up a move. This could have been a huge bear trap here. So a bear trap is, I'm trying to find differentiating colors here. You can see how we went just slightly underneath those lows. And anybody who chased those new lows is now trapped. And when a trap is sprung, it uncoils. So this is how I made 7 figures in BYND 3 weeks ago. I noticed that BYND, well, I'll show you. So it did the same thing. It sprung a trap there. And then the question is, how long does that, trap stay sprung for? And I think in the case of BYND, not too long. So to me, this 113, is a very pivotal line. I should probably show it on the daily chart. So to me, this was a very pivotal line. And I thought once it kind of cracked through 113 here, that the market, my expectations were that the market should do that. Okay, so it's makes no difference what I think. The market is the ultimate referee. The market is always right. And so I noticed after it broke, it was like pushing on a string. Every day, this thing just couldn't make a new low. And it actually put a very subtle looking double bottom here. So people always say, well, how do you decide to get out? Well, the market tells me to get in and to get out. So you can see right here, this very subtle looking double bottom. But even if you didn't see that, what really raised the flag for me is once this thing punctured above this 113 again, it went completely contrary to what the market should have done. So when something kind of, goes against what, I feel, or, what the implications of that pattern are, it already, it just sets off my antenna. So you can see it had a little inside bar here, a little coil. And so I just surmised, I said, just like Baba, that this was a trap, that anybody who chased these lows is really going to pay a price for it. So I just felt like a trap had been sprung. I just felt it in my water. And then in the pre-market session, I started buying BYND at 120 here. And then I started buying the 125 and $126 calls. I bought the 125 calls for 150, and 3 days later they were $23. And I had a few of them on. So I made a lot of money just on, again, like Baba, where you notice there's an area where they chase it, they can't push it any harder, so it can go the other way very quickly. But the long term of Baba, it's hard to tell. It still looks pretty negative. So right now, Beyond Meat, has this head and shoulders with this drooping neckline, which just says that this thing's just going to go a lot lower. If we just kind of get another push into tomorrow, I'm going to short into that and probably buy puts for next week. I made, 110 grand. So right in here last Friday, when the stock was at 140, I bought the 130 strike price, and you can see the market just then plummeted through there. My options went from 50 cents to $3.50 in a week. You're welcome, Yelena. Francois says, how many times does it take you to think of and well observe looking for a pattern before entering into a trade? So, what I try and do is I try and do my homework. When the market's closed, I kind of figure my setups going into tomorrow. I kind of have my strategy planned for tomorrow, because if you're in my boiler room, when this at night, so this is all quiet now. When this hits 9:30, this thing lights up like a firecracker show, and it can jolt you. I mean, and the moves are so profound so quickly. I mean, I can make $8 in like 10 seconds on an open. And so if you aren't prepared, if you don't have a game plan, then you're going to be rocked. And so what I try and do is have a game plan. So I look at my chart and I say to myself, if this thing goes $4 or $5 higher, I'm just going to sell into that, because I just feel that the pattern and everything. So just like Tesla today, I had a game plan. Before it even opened, at 9 o'clock, I was talking with, those in the boiler room. It was trading at 655. It was up about $4 for the day, slightly higher. And I said, I'm going to start taking a nibble. I'm going to start getting in at this thing because based on the way it closed, I wanted to, as this, on any kind of higher move, I wanted to sell into it based on the prior pattern here. So I try and do my homework. I have all kinds of names written down here, thousands of stocks written down. And then I kind of circle, the handful of names that I'm really looking at. And then I look for price action that, it works for me. So if I'm looking to go short, I'm looking to sell into strength. So like Tesla, it doesn't sound right, but I'm actually waiting for the thing to go higher so I can sell into it. So it went to 666 today. I sold into it, and then it went to 639. And then last week when Moderna opened lower, I bought into weakness. So right when this thing cracked on the opening at 216, and you saw it in Peter's account, right here, I bought it where that left mark is, that hash mark, that's the opening. So it was down $11 the previous session, and then it was opening $6 lower. And I said to the members, this makes no sense. This thing is going to go straight up and double from here. And got long at 216, and now it's 275 in the post-market session. So I look to, buy into weakness and sell into strength. I know that may not make complete sense, but that's what I do. So Mustafa says your elite email beyond was amazing. I made a fantastic profit. So thanks for that, Mustafa. Family says, I don't know how to trade Forex. Would I still benefit from? So it doesn't matter if this says Moderna or the euro yen. Everything's a pattern. So the pound yen, I went short because, to me, I see this downtrend. I see a double top. I saw these 2 key reversal days, and this is a Forex pair. So I don't care if this is corn, wheat, natural gas. It doesn't matter. So Forex, to me, if it has a high, low, and close, I'll trade it. And you don't need to know what the price is ahead of the price. Discovery works in every market. So whether you trade Forex or stocks or gold, you can, apply a price action, price pattern trading methodology. I was a commodity broker for 20 years. I was trading orange juice and cocoa and live hogs and using the same principles. Let's see. Just going through some of these.
Hey, Mark. Bob wants to know, when do you know to get out with patterns?
So, I think I just showed you on BYND this little, when the market stops going down. So you see these 2 bottoms right there. You had the same bottoms in Peloton, Zoom, Beyond Meat. So I said at the time, you're going to have a very tradable bottom. So you can see here, you had a key reversal here. You had a key reversal there right in the same places. So even though I was short, when the market started telling me, there's a support level here, I sent an email right at that time. I said, we're going to have a very tradable bottom, meaning that I don't think the bottom's been put in, but you certainly had a trade from 80 to 130. And now I think we're coming back to 80 again. So the patterns put me in this trade, and then the price action here said, it's not ready to go through here. And the same thing, for Zoom. It got down to that 378 area. I thought it was going to go much lower. You had a key reversal here. You had a key reversal there. It was a double bottom. And I said, you're going to have a tradable low here from 280 all the way to 400. So that's very tradable. I think you're coming back here. So the market puts me in and the market takes me out. MB says it almost seems too easy. It does. If I was sitting on the other side of this thing, I would think, but it is. I feel like, I told Peter, my marketing partner, when I started the business, I go, it's like, I feel like, a 6-year-old should be able to understand what I'm doing. And he goes, Mark, I've been with you for 5 years. I still don't understand what you're doing. So I don't know. I just see, when I go to the ocean, I just sit on the beach and I watch the patterns. I watch the ocean. And if you just look at the ocean as a big, big ocean, you don't see anything. But if you really dial down and focus and watch, there are patterns within the ocean, within the waves, within everything. And so to me, I just look at the markets in terms of waves and patterns and price action and ebbs and flows of energy. And I just try and ride those flows. So, you know, I saw that there was a bottom here and made a fortune riding this thing up. Now I see there's a top here, and, you know, I've made a small fortune on the way down, and I think I'll make a lot more. So I just try and get in sync with the market. I just want, you know, and I'm looking to take bigger pieces out of the market, right? Take a piece of the middle out of, you know, moves. That's what I'm looking to do. MV says, reminds me of fractal theory. I don't know. It's just the way I've been looking at these things since I was a kid, and it just appeals to my senses. I can just see these patterns. I can see this double top. I get so excited. And then I see these things and I start questioning because it seems so intuitive and easy that I question, well, the market is not that easy. And if I see it this well, it's not going to give it to me. And even 40 years later, I still have those demons where I say, this is so easy. This is so obvious that the markets doesn't work that way. It's not that obvious. And yet it is. And so, here's, and I've, made these profits in front of you and all the boiler room people, for quite some time now. So, Francois says, are there specific conditions for a double top? No, it's just a double top. So there are no conditions. There are no reasons. I don't try and dig into the whys. The why is the last question. So here's a double top here. Here's a double top here. Here's a double top here. And here's a double top here. Why? I don't know. The markets hit a resistance area twice and they go down from there. That's it. So, I try not to make this any more complicated than it is. To me, I should be able, I feel like I should be able to explain this to a 6-year-old. So if I said to a 6-year-old, what is this market doing? Is it going up or is it going down? A kid will kind of tell you. We tend to complicate everything. So this is actually inherently a down market. But, what can happen is you have these huge moves from 280 to 400. It seems like, wow, this thing it's so powerful. It's moving so much higher. But really, it's a move within a downtrend. So, I try and, look at things. And sometimes it's not that easy because if, you say, well, what's it doing now? And, you say, well, really, it's just actually very sideways. But for me, within these little, sideways, where if you just stand back and look at this thing, yes, it's very sideways. But if I stand back, I see patterns within the sideways where it topped here and it's going to go down. It bottomed there, it's going to go up. It topped there and it's going to go down. So yeah, I mean, anybody who's got a long-term stock trading account, bought it there, it's still here. He's looking at his stocks every couple of weeks and, Zoom's still hanging in there. Meantime, I've, made a dozen moves up and down in this very sideways market. Kathy Wood just invested in Zoom. that's the best reason to sell it. That woman is a complete fraud. I've said it publicly. I'll make an apology if ARK ever goes back to 150, but I think you can. So ARK is an ETF that's a broad measure of the internet stocks and growth stocks, and you can kiss this thing goodbye. It's a complete fraud. This is a double top. It's a head and shoulders. There's another double top here. It just recently crashed through the neckline. We're going back to the low and much lower. So Kathy Wood runs this ARK fund. I think she's a complete fraud. So that's just my 2 cents. And I said that I would send her an apology letter if, ARK ever went to 150. Well, I think it goes to 70 before it goes to 150.
Hey Mark, a question from Glenroy is what expiration do you usually use when trading options?
But expiration, it really depends. I mean, some have longer, but I'm usually just a week out because it gets like very expensive, after that. So on these quantum scape, I was long these $25. I bought these 2 weeks ago. So I did buy these 25s 2 weeks ago. I bought them for 60 cents. They're currently trading at 158. I got out of them around $2 yesterday. I thought they would go much higher. I was hoping they would go to 5. But I usually go 1 week out because it gets much more expensive. So now obviously tomorrow these go off the board. So I would be looking at, the expiration for the end of next week. Um, so it's trading at what quantum says 1224. So I kind of just say like the 2250s or 57 cents, I would maybe take a shot at those. But I usually just go a week out, which is it's a real game of chicken. And I mean, I bought the triple Qs today that expire tomorrow. So, if I did, so I just bought the 360s. When it was trading at 361, I bought the 360 puts. And so I bought, pretty close if it's going to expire. So here are the 360 puts. I bought them for, I don't know, about $1.30 and they went to about 280. I made more than double my money on them. So I bought the very near term, but you can see that you can't see the date here, but these go off the board tomorrow. So I'm either right or I'm wrong very, very quickly. And so I try and buy something pretty close to where it's trading, not too far out. So right now I'm right at the money, which means those options are worthless. But let's see how we go tomorrow. If this thing goes down 2 points, those things will, go to $2. Does the elite program include the boiler room? I don't think it does, Jerry. I'm not in charge of those things. Bob says, explain your QQQ put. I just thought the market would go down. And so I bought a derivative that would bet on the downside. Daniel says, I was too greedy selling my. So, Daniel, what I do is I just sell at the market. So when Tesla was making what I do is I leg into it. So today, Tesla closed at, I think around 650. Well, it was down 278. So it closed at 653. So this morning it opened around 656, 657. And, I didn't exactly know where the high was going to be. So I said, look, I'm just going to start taking a nibble and legging into it. So I sold some at 657, some at 658, some at 660. I had a limit on it and it went to 660. Then it went even higher and I sold more at 662. And then it went plummeted to 639. So, I just, limits you can, look, I got filled on a limit yesterday and run, at a price that didn't even exist in the market. So sometimes you get filled and sometimes you don't. And if you don't get filled and you really like it, then you just got to go the market. So, it's just like if a stock is up at all, like Zoom was up like $5 today and I just wanted it. So, I didn't Mickey Mouse around. So I'm just trying to find, so here's all of my limit orders here. Oh no, that was on a sell short stop. So that was when it was coming back down. Tesla. Yeah, so here was the orders in Tesla this morning in the boiler room. So you can see this was in the pre-market session there extended. So I got filled at 656 and a half. Then I put a limit at 660. I got filled a little higher than that. And then I actually kept selling into it. Let's see where the other ones are. So yeah. And then I sold short some at right here too at 663. So that was $3 off the high of the day at 663. So I just kept selling into it, and then it broke $30 in my favor. I made 100 grand in like 3 hours. Ron says, should I get out of ARK? If you're long ARK, I would get out of it. Yes. When you're short, so Rob says, when you're shorting, do you look at catalysts? Stocks like Tesla can run fast after positive news. So I don't trade the news. I trade the, all I trade is everything that I'm showing you guys. This is all I look at. So this is ARK, Kathy Wood's, thing. And just by looking at this picture, I think it's going to get kicked in the teeth. It's going a lot lower. So this is the weekly. And you can see this has got a very nasty looking look to it. So, we were on this kind of uptrend. It actually broke out. It broke this uptrend a while ago. Kind of had this fake thing, but I think it broke that uptrend line a while ago. But if you want to extend it out, and some of these trend lines this looks to me like an ascending, broadening price pattern. Doesn't look to me, it is. And, if it comes here, so it could go this way or that way. And if it comes here, it's actually going to come right back to the beginning. I know that sounds astounding, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm glad I looked at it this way. This is amazing. So that's the inflection point right around whatever, 106 or something. So how it acts there. But if it breaks, then this thing is coming a lot lower. I think this woman is a complete fraud. She hypes things up. She said that Tesla is going to $3,000 a share. She hypes up her own book. I think she's a millennial. She's just, chasing what's cool. So whoever asked Bob, or I would get out. I've got an uncle in Australia. He told me he was long all these things. I said, get out. So I think that these things are going to get bent, and I am going to short this. So Dennis says, ask for a test of the boiler room, but send a link about the elite. So if you have questions, just send a message to support@thepatterntrader. If you are interested in the elite program, then we actually have you speak to one of our sales managers. We don't sell the elite off the website. And so Dwight says, hey everyone, for those questions about Mark doesn't handle it. Yeah, so I don't handle anything I do. I'm just the front guy here. When you say you sold short the shares, then you could also have sold puts, or no, bought puts. So if you sell puts, that's actually, you're thinking that it's going to go higher. Why is it better to sell short than to buy puts? So sometimes the stocks are just so expensive, and like for Zoom, it has a beta like twice the market, meaning that the volatility is twice as high, meaning that the options are very expensive. So let me look at the options. I think they've calmed down a little bit. So when I want to, so let me look for like next week. So it's trading at 355. Let's say we look at the 345 puts. So that's $10 out of the money, and you have to pay $4 for them. So when I'm looking at a put or a call, I want to make 3 to 5 times my money, because a lot of them, like Uber, just go tits up, and you can see that I'm losing 29 grand on this. So that's why I need to make a lot of money on the ones that I make money, because a lot of times you'll lose 100% of what you put in the middle. So my whole thing is, if I go into an option, I want to have a vision to see if I can make 3 to 5 times my money. Now, you know, in Beyond Meat, I made 7 times my money this week, 5 to 6 times my money. So those kind of trades pay for all of the, you know, the ones that you lose on. So I say to myself, okay, you're $10 out of the money and you got to pay $4. And if I want to make 3 times my money on these things, then this has to go to 12. So 12 minus 345 is 333. So I have to see, you know, do I think that Zoom can be 333 next week? And you know what? It probably can. The way this thing is cratering, it probably can. So, you know, but the point I'm making is that sometimes the options are so, like Tesla, the options are so expensive because it's so volatile. Believe me, I would prefer not to buy the shares you know, do the options. So let me see what, like Tesla. So Tesla is trading at 650. Look at the 623. So 650. So let's say, you know, let's look at the 640 puts. So you can see how expensive they are. So the 640 puts next week are $1,240, and you have $12.40, and you have to multiply this by 100 because each option is based on 100 shares. So you have to put up $1,240, which means you have to risk that. And so this has to go to 628 for you to break even. And if I say to myself, I want to make 3 times my money, 3 times 12 is 36 minus 40. So I have to see that Tesla is going to be at 600 by next week to justify that play. Now, look, the way Tesla's moving, it moves $40 a day. But all I'm saying is that sometimes it's very expensive. So I look at this thing and then I try and look at this picture and say, what does next week look like? And could I see it to 600? And you know what? You probably could. But, you know, they're so expensive. The point is, if you lose, you're forfeiting that $1,200. So anything above, so is trading at 650 now. This thing could drop to 640 next week, and you'll lose every single dollar that you put up of that premium, if you understand that. So some options are just too expensive. I look for the real cheapy things like the Beyond Meat for 50 cents, you know, or Quantum Scrape that I bought for 60 cents and went to $3, or Beyond Meat 3 weeks ago where I bought it for $1.55 and it went to $23. That's kind of the stuff that I look for. So it's, you know, kind of fun. It's like being a detective. The markets are like being a detective, trying to find those little, you know, areas of, you know, huge opportunity. So Mustafa says, I have a small portion on position on Uber long. Yeah, so Uber, you know, I took a smack. I bought those options 2 weeks ago when, you know, I thought that there was some weekly support, and then you know, the market just cratered. So in retrospect, wasn't a great trade. I lost 30 grand on it. You know, oh well. So I was looking at this key reversal, and then we had another key reversal. So right in here, I kind of bought these calls thinking that we would have a move up here, and not to be. So when, you know, when market has a reversal and then takes it out, then, you know, it's when the market doesn't do something that it should do, then it's going to do the other thing. So now it looks pretty bad. It looks like, you know, this thing wants to come back here. So I think Uber is done with. Uber has this kind of thing, and we're about to break the downside of that. So I just feel like we're going to retest this area here. So I lost on Uber, but that's just the way it goes. You can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. All right, guys. I think I'm going to let it go here. You know, if there's another question.
Hey, Mark, if you have time for another question, how do you determine if an option premium is expensive?
It's just beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I don't really look at the option. I first look at the underlying. I look at whatever I'm betting on. You know, the thing is, you can be right, but not right in the time frame. So with options, you have to be right, and you have to be right now. So it has to do what you think it's going to do in the time frame, and it's a game of chicken. You can see that, this week I was holding these Beyond Meat positions short. So this is why I was getting very nervous yesterday, because bought these options last Friday, when the market was at 140, I bought the 130 put options for whatever, call it 60 cents right there. And so you can see then the market just started crashing. And then yesterday, the options were what we call in the money. So when it goes below the strike price, the 130 strike price, it's in the money, right? So yesterday it went 128. So this thing had an inherent value of $2. So that 60 cents went to $2, right? But now I have 2 days before this thing was going to expire. And you can see this morning, it went up from 128 to 134, which basically makes these things worthless. So I had 100, I invested probably a little under 50,000, and I had like 110,000 profits. So I had $160,000 in these things, which this morning went bye-bye. So you can see how quickly these things, can erode. So you have to be right, and you have to be right now. And when you're right, you have to take your money. So it's really a game of chicken. In this case, when I bought these at 155, they went to 23. But you can see from 23, they probably lost, 70% of their value if I didn't take it that day. So it's, these are heart attack things, but they're fun. I love them. So Henry says, thanks, Mark. It was a great session for the elite. It's a great learning session. Definitely, you're the best. So thank you, Henry. I appreciate it. John says, each webinar goes by faster and faster. Thanks so much for your time and knowledge. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. It looks so easy and it's forceful. Thank you, Jürgen. So I would really, again, appreciate if you guys would even just cut and paste those comments and, just put something in the tip jar. Send a review. I would really appreciate it. Let others know. You can, and, speak your heart. I'm not saying say only good stuff. Tell me, what you didn't like. I will learn from it. And hopefully I will see you somewhere along our respective paths. Join the boiler room, join the elite, join the accelerator. We have a number of different programs. If you want to start really small, we have books, we have, whatever you kind of are looking for. So Warren, hopefully I'll see you in the boiler room. So Daniel, thank you very much for leaving a review on Trustpilot today. So Francois says you have books. Yeah, I don't know if our books, we posted it earlier. Sometimes our team takes them down. Let me see if they're still, I don't want to put too much links here, but yeah, we have a book. Yeah, it's still up. So if you want to buy my book, the great thing is whatever you buy, I shouldn't be putting all these, if you don't go crazy, then you're putting all these links up, but this book explains, my entire strategy, the layered 4-step plan, and whatever so it's a pay what you want, 5, 10, 100, whatever you pay, I'm going to double the amount that you pay and send it to the American Childhood Cancer Organization. I think I donated over $25,000 this year to this organization based on the royalties we take in. So whatever you pay, I lose money because I double that and send that to a great charity.
Also, everyone, I just put the link in for the sales page to join the boiler room. And if you have questions, you'll find it on that page.
Yeah, I should have sent all these stuff to Dwight. Sorry. people were asking. So
No problem.
all right, listen, guys. Hope you took something away from these 4 days, and hopefully, I will see most or all of you somewhere along our respective journey. It is a journey. Trading is fun. It should be effortless. Most people, by looking at 5-minute charts, tearing their hair out till midnight, make it harder than it should be. I just look at these things and try and do this. I'm not staring at the screen all day. I'm not staying up till midnight. I'm not looking at a 5-minute chart with some kind of magic moving average crossover. To me, these pictures just tell me what's going on, and I just try and surrender to the will of this picture. Whatever it's going to do, down, up, down, I just going to get in sync with it. Jean-Louis, you're welcome. There is a recording. So Mark, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Mustafa, thanks a ton as always. All right, guys, hopefully we'll see you somewhere. Thank you. Thanks, Dwight.
All right, Mark. Bye, everyone.